Hello, so today I wanted to talk Star versus the forces of evil, specifically Eclipsa. So I decided to dress the part of, I don't know, Princess of Darkness instead of Queen? Whatever. So I just want an excuse to use my dresses that are just rotting hair, I guess. Anyways, once again, I'm really sorry about the white noise in the background. There's nothing I can do about it. As I've stated in other videos, it's my fan for computer, so there's nothing really I can do about it, so really sorry. I'm not proficient in audio manipulation. I don't know, fuck it. Anyway, so yeah, I wanted to talk Eclipsa and even some on Toffee, and comparing Eclipsa to Star, because I've noticed a lot of similarities. I don't know if you guys have, but I definitely have. There are a ton, and it is uncanny. They are like Gryffindor and Slytherin. They're basically the same, but there's this one little thing that has this define them as different. And I have my little minion Frere to help me today. We'll call him my monster. Anyway, so I've heard a lot of people trying to decide whether Eclipsa is evil or not. However, I think when we're discussing this, we should really kind of compare her to Star, because there are not a ton of differences, and there's really not a lot that we know about Eclipsa, but what we do know is, like I said, very similar to Star. So yeah, anyway, so yeah, first I'll go over what we know of Eclipsa. So first, I have a little list here. I don't want to get too lost. She has wed a Mumin king, and however, it is apparently not been for love. The next thing we know about her is that she cared for monsters. Or at least there was one specifically that she cared for. And I know that they say, you know, she took one as her love. However, I think we should keep in mind how the Mumins embellish things. You know? Like, for instance, Queen Moon's mural and the story of Moon Independence. Both of those were greatly embellished, so I don't think we can really take Mumin word for exact. I think that they like to embellish a bit to make their rulers seem even better than they are, just like how when Moon was talking to Star about the song for Song Day, she was telling them that they don't want to know the real them. They don't want to know the real queen. They only want to have this perfect picture of them, and so I think that's what they do. So they're either perfect or they're completely evil. There's no in between, and since Eclipsa decided to, which brings me to number 3, she fled the kingdom and denied her crown. And since she did that, they had to paint this, possibly, I should say, theoretically, this is just my theory, but I think that they decided to paint a negative picture of her because of it, because they didn't want to have, you know, this great ruler that decided to leave because she didn't feel like she was able to run the kingdom the way she wanted. And so they wanted to, you know, make it seem like she was a bad person who, you know, she left, or they had to drive her out, or, you know, something like that. Like, you know, they don't want this queen back. You know, they don't want this queen. I mean, they want a new queen. So, number 4, the fourth thing that we know is that she mastered extremely powerful spells. Albeit there are ones that have been known to corrupt physically and or mentally, and she has been linked to contracts. So I'll get more into the contract thing in a bit. And the fifth thing we know, well, fifth and sixth, I kind of paired them together. Her mother's dead, and she loves snookers. Yeah, we know how she loves those snookers. You know, D4. Okay, so now I'm kind of gonna compare it to Star. So if they are kind of parallels, it has made me question whether starting off with the wed a Mumin King, will Star be encouraged to wed a Mumin King over in someone else? Looking at you, Star Code fans. Yeah. So, will that be like an obstacle? Will they not want that to happen? An interesting thing that had happened in the episode. Gosh, I can't remember the title. I'm sorry. It's the one where Baby comes. It's very memorable. It's called Baby episode. Baby comes and she gives Star an exam and she almost fails. And when Baby reports back to Queen Moon and River, she tells them that her power is akin to Eclipsa's and on the same level of that and far beyond Moon's. And when she mentions Eclipsa, River immediately says monster love, and then Moon gasps. So, like, I don't know, do they think that she's going to, try and go for a monster, or do they still kind of view any other species like humans as not the same? So we don't know how that's gonna work out. I mean, we know that River does like Marco. We just don't know if he likes him as son-in-law, So anyways, that one's kind of just a who knows topic right there. Number 2, addressing the has monsters that she cares for. Star has become increasingly less biased towards monsters, and she even calls out her mom for being, racist towards monsters. She's like, "Come on, get with the times, Mom." That was so hilarious. And it's kind of funny because in the beginning she was an avid monster hunter without reason. She was just constantly looking for monsters to fight, even when she was a child, a baby. Like, she was learning throughout her life how to fight these monsters, and she's just always done it without question. And then she's met monsters more intimately, mainly because of Marco, because I think it started with lobster claws when he first wasn't trying to get her to maybe see that maybe not all monsters are evil, and then she did turn her teacher into a troll, so there's that too. So I think through those two, that was her starting point where she started to actually get to know monsters on a personal level, and then see that they're not all bad. And so now she's friends, ally, and even godmother to some. She does have enemies, but she understands that not all are evil. And you know what? That could have been exactly how Eclipsa was. Eclipsa could have known that too as well. And another thing I pondered is whether Eclipsa wanted to unite humans and monsters, and because of this she was kind of ostracized, or kind of kept getting put down in these ideas, and so she's just way too probably ahead of her time, and so she became known as this monster lover, and which can be kind of parallel to some derogatory terms from some countries for when you like certain races that are held favorably. Yeah, not nice words. So yeah, they could be kind of, doing that same thing there. So yeah, so she could have been, looked down on for this belief, and even though she could have seen that humans and monsters maybe weren't so different, but because she's ahead of her time, it wasn't the right moment. You know, maybe Star's time is more ready to see that they aren't so different, especially with Moon also kind of seeing this too. But it'll probably take time. And Eclipsa's time was just way too far back. I mean, she's her 10th great grandmother, if I'm remembering correctly. So, you know, it takes time to be progressive. And, you know, who knows? We could dip into number 5 right here and mention how she lost her mother at a young age, the same age as Moon apparently, or around the same age, which is about the same age that Star is now. So who knows, during both these times, during when Moon was that age and now Star when she's this age, there have been these monster wars. So what if Eclipsa had the same thing? What if Eclipsa's mother was facing a monster battle, or you know, a war with the monsters, and she ended up being killed? And so Eclipsa had to learn these magics, these dark magics, to be able to avenge her mother and, you know, destroy the threat and, you know, save the kingdom. Who knows? We aren't really given any context about her at all, so we only have speculation to go on. So yeah, I don't think we should judge her for her eyeliner and green hair and gothic attire. I think we should wait until we know more about her, until we judge her for having these certain powers, because she does have incredible magic. And if she has the same type of magic as Star does, then she has not evil magic, but magic of life and death. That's incredible. Life and death. I mean, that's life, yeah, that's cool. Death, I mean, depends how you use it, I guess. But life and death. It's like almost being like a god. Come on. And as far as the corruption, we have seen the corruption is both emotional, is physical and emotional. So it can be done by magic. However, it can be done just through ill emotions, through heartache, through just being crushed, like Moon was when she started to be even more corrupted. And we don't really know how this corruption starts. Like, you know, with the hand we saw it. So we don't know how that really starts. Do you have to first wield a dark spell and then it can just grow as you don't have positive emotions? For lack of better words, you know, when you have that crushed, defeated, just dark, hollow feeling, does it just spread? Because if so, then we don't know if, you know, Eclipsa is corrupted because of all this dark magic that she's been casting all the time, or if it's just because she's, you know, been through some hard shit after casting one or two to, you know, defend her kingdom or something. Who knows? I think we should really, you know, not judge her by what the humans say, the embellishing humans, and by what she looks like. And I think she looks fantastic, but whatever. Another thing kind of similar that I've wondered is, does Eclipsa have to contract the spells as well? Like, we know that Moon made a contract to access a spell through Eclipsa. However, was that just kind of like a signing on to use her card for that spell or something? Or was it like a spell that Eclipsa made herself and made it so you have to have a contract with her to use it? Something I've wondered, just random thing. On to the next one. So going back to the list, 3 fled the kingdom and denied her crown. You know who else did this? Star. I bet you all don't remember it, because it was just in one episode. But yeah, she did. It was, I don't know the title of it, but it was the one where Tom hired the person to be a counselor at their school, at Star and Eclipsa school, and they were all having to go see them for their future life choices, whatever deal, to try and figure out what they should be in the future. And when Star went in, he basically started putting pressure on her, being like, oh, you know, you're going to be the ruler of Muni, you know, you're going to have to find a king, you're going to have to have all these responsibilities, you won't be able to have fun anymore, all this, like, stuff that made her really freak out, because that's not the stuff that she likes. And so, yeah, she went off the deep end, and she wanted to, she was trying everything she could to try and not have to take the crown, even going as far as considering chopping off a mermaid's tail. Because you can't be queen if you've chopped off a mermaid's tail. That is a rule. With how friendly they are too, I know, I could see why that would be a crime. I mean, Ludo crash landed there and just like, hey dude, what's up? Let's lay you. So, yeah, they're really friendly. So, yeah, that is something that Star tried to do as well. It took Marco talking her out of it to stop the madness, because she was really about to do it. She was sharpening her axe and dyed all crazy colors and just ready. She nearly did it. So another thing on Eclipsa spells is that some people go corrupted when they view her chapter and some don't. And I find that very interesting. So first of all, the ones that were corrupted by it were, of course, Ludo and Marco. As far as we know, those two are the only ones that we know of that have been corrupted by her chapter. And we don't know whether Moon actually went into Eclipsa's chapter or whether she just saw the chapter and was like, oh, you know what? I know where she's at. And then went and saw her. But we, you know, for all we know, she could have saw the chapter, like, inside of it, and then told Glossaryck, I need to do this with Eclipsa's spell or something. And then he's like, oh, well, you're going to have to go see her or something. We don't know what happened after that. We just see that, you know, she saw the chapter and then she went there. So, you know, that could have been what happened, and if that is, then, you know, fine, whatever. Throw that aside. But we know that Star has seen it, and her only response to it was, wasn't for me. And I'm pretty sure Toffee has seen it too as well. So, I mean, Toffee's seen it, and he was already evil, but he didn't go mad from it. He, you know, props to him, he didn't go madder from the chapter. So, it's still a curious mystery that has yet to be solved. And there could be many reasons for this. For all we know, it could even be just a protection spell to keep people who aren't supposed to be in it out. I mean, we don't really know what was going on, but we do know that there's a cure for it. So, you know, at least if you have magic, you can undo it. So, I don't know. Yeah. Next thing. Will Moon die? Yeah. I mean, if they do parallel each other, then will Moon die? That it's sad to think about, but we've kind of seen it happen almost before, and we've been hearing about how, you know, these queens have lost their mothers at such a young age, and who knows? You know how Disney likes to kill off parents. Now, with all this said so far, I would like to add that, you know, I would be happy if Eclipsa was a bad guy. I have no problem with it if she is. I just would like to see them totally destroy this bad witch trope, which, yeah, I think it would be hilarious. Especially with, you know, all the influences that the creator has. It would be just really cool if they would stomple on that and, you know, turn it around and be like, yeah, she just loved snookers, man. She just wanted to, you know, be herself and unite humans and monsters, but the humans were being dicks, so she decided to get out of there. I mean, who knows? I just think it would make her a much more complex character and just be really cool. Anyways, so next thing I want to address is Toffee really gone? Now, I want to say that I do think he's dead, but I don't think it's the last we've heard of him. And I think we'll hear more about him through Eclipsa. At least I hope we do, because he was such a great villain and he was built to be so amazing, and then just Deus Ex Machina, like that. I have to say that it kind of sit on a well with me. That in the diamond eyes, that was kind of like freaky. Just whatever. I mean, the voice was fine, but the eyes, that was just too much. Too much for me. Oh man, it's not Steven Universe. You can't pull it off. At least not in my opinion. Oh man, the eyes were just. I had to just. But yeah, and then the one shot, the basic one shot, and you know, Toffee toppling a pillar on him, but basically a one shot and then a kill steal. So yeah, what's going to happen there? I want to know what's going on there. I know like a lot of people have thought that maybe Toffee is related to Eclipsa, maybe like her son or something, but who knows, maybe even, you know, she fought Toffee at one point. Who knows? Or, you know, it was curious how he knew about the first spell that Moon taught Star. So for all we know, he could be somehow related to Eclipsa, and that's how he knows that kind of information, because we do see him read about spells and the wand throughout the say first season. Yeah, because then she blew up the wand after that. So yeah, throughout the first season, after he appears and cons his way into Ludo's minionry, we see that he's in the background reading up on wands and spells. However, I don't think that this whispering spell would be in those. I think it's like a secret spell that's passed on throughout the lineage, and it's not a spell that just anyone would know about. I mean, he doesn't even call it by name. He just calls it the first spell your mother taught you, which is a very specific thing. You know, how does he know that this is the first spell that she was taught? That does, like, either he is grade A stalker, or he knows some inside information there. Okay, if I don't ramble on too much longer here, I might get around to talking about the connection and maybe possible foreshadowing between Toffee and Marco. However, that I don't want to make this too much longer because I'm already like rambling on here. So I'll go to my last few points. So there's a point when Ludo wasn't able to write in the royal spellbook, and I got to think, Glossaryck said it was because he wasn't the true owner. However, what if it's because he's not a royal, or at least not a human royal? Which kind of ties into my previous questions about Toffee's lineage. If Toffee's able to, for some reason, and Glossaryck was just playing with words and meanings because, you know, he's a royal, but he's also the owner of it, then, you know, he could just have been like, oh, well, you're not the owner, instead of you're not a royal. and kind of danced around that. So we don't know. I just something to ponder while we go through, you know, the new episodes whenever they finally arrive. God, it's taking so long. So anyways, I would like to take a moment to address the saddest moment in Battlefield Muni, which was when Glossaryck didn't get to eat his perfect pudding ball. Like, okay, him dying was sad and all, but not being able to eat his perfect pudding ball, like that shit glue. It was luminescently beautiful, and he didn't get to eat its baked, perfect, round, gooey goodness. That is a true crime there. And then he's down there with, like, what, foot soup or something? Like, moment of silence. So, Glossaryck in future vision. So, we have been hinted at that Glossaryck is able to see the future, and he has known about everything that would come to pass, but just didn't know exactly how it would happen. So, yeah, let's talk about that real quick. So, first with Moon, when her mother dies, and he decides to retreat into her chapter that just happens to open to Eclipsa's chapter. So, I don't think that was an accident. I don't know about you guys, but that does not seem like an accident. I mean, just happens to flip open to it. Like, it was her chapter, like the heaviest one, and so it couldn't just flip by it or something? Or like what? Is it weighed down by all that evil? So, did he know that Moon would need to go and make a deal with Eclipsa to eventually have Toffee defeated? But did he also know that Eclipsa would be released in the process? And also, thirdly, did he want this? The only real thing I have to say to that is that he does praise Eclipsa for being the only person to not butt in with his training methods, which could be one of two things. Either a jab at Queen Moon because the only reason she wasn't able to interfere was because she was gone. So the only queen that's allowed him to teach was the one that was gone from her child's life. Which is kind of like a big punch in the gut. Yeah, it would have a major burn. But the other option is that, you know, she just was a chill queen and was chill enough to just let him do his thing because she knew that he was a competent teacher and knew that he would do a good job and trusted him. And while we're talking about whether, you know, with the whole child thing, did she, just a quick question here, did she have the child before she advocated the throne? I mean, for everything to flow the way it does in the lineage, that would make sense. I mean, that, you know, that she had children with the Mutant King before she fled with the monster lover. Oh, and did they just kind of give it a pass when her child came? I mean that one doesn't make sense, but I mean, who knows? They're not very specific about this, and I haven't read that interdimensional guide, so I don't know the information that's in there. So, yeah, I do have some notes on some things that I've seen on Muni archives, but this video is getting way too long, so I'm not going to go in there, and I think that's just mostly fan fiction anyway, so I'm not going to advocate that on this video. Next thing. Is Glossaryck magic itself? So I have this theory that Glossaryck is supposed to be the actual embodiment of magic itself. And I'm gonna present a few points to try and sway you on this. So the first thing is that he goes out of his way to show neutrality, and yet he still kind of affects things in like a roundabout way, but for the most part it's unorthodox and barely would help anyway, except in a roundabout way that he can kind of get away from being held responsible for, because you know they could either get it or they could not. It's kind of a very method, so he's not very direct about anything, and so he's still kind of, you know, in his way keeps his air of neutrality. And I don't know if other people know this, but in pagan beliefs, magic is believed to not be good or evil. It is neutral. It just is. And because of this, the only thing that can make it evil or good is the wielder itself, their intentions. So to say that there's like someone uses dark magic or light magic is, for an actual pagan person, it's kind of like what are you talking about? Like, there is no such thing. But you know, you could have, I guess, a dark witch, because you know they could have a dark heart, I guess. But you know, their magic itself isn't dark. They just use it for negative intentions. So yeah, that kind of lines up with the whole Glossaryck being magic itself, because then, you know, he does keep his neutrality, but he can do, you know, he can't be swayed to do good or evil things, because he just goes with the flow of whoever is holding the book. This also makes sense as to why we see him die after, you know, we see him again at the root of magic, deep down at the core of the well of magic. Did I really write it like that? I shouldn't have read that out loud. Anyway, so yeah, he's found at the deep core in the well of magic, where Star rediscovers untainted magic and rebirths it into, changes all of the tainted, corrupted magic that isn't useful anymore into pure magic. So he didn't die, just like Star didn't really die. She went into the well of magic. She went where magic exists when she went into the wand, which is exactly where Toffee was. So he wasn't corrupting Star's magic specifically. He was corrupting all magic. He was making the Fritz. He was making all magic not work, and or at least not work right, and then not work at all. So it's, yeah, she rebirthed all magic, and Glossaryck was found at this core of magic. So he didn't die. He's just been in this well of magic, which, if Star can get out, that means it's theoretically possible for Glossaryck to get out. I mean, he could not just... He could be dead forever. He could be gone forever and never get that second chance at a perfect pudding ball. But he could also come back and live another day to eventually have it. Hell, I could see him going right back and picking it up from that fire that he died at. But yeah. The next point is one that I've kind of already talked about, which is that, you know, he kind of goes out of his way to be impartial and to not try and get involved too much. Yeah, he does do his things along the way that he can. Like, yeah, he does everything Ludo asks. However, he also doesn't tell him that, you know, about other things that would be more helpful. He kind of plays with him which in a way it almost seems like he's stalling for everyone else to get their shit together and for everything to play out how he sees the future playing out. However, he still doesn't know how it plays out, so he can only do so much along the way. And like I said before, everything he does is kind of backwards and unorthodox, and so it's very questionable whether it's actually helpful or not. The main sad part about this theory is that if he is the embodiment of magic, that means he is basically doomed to be an observer and not really be a major player in trying to do anything actually good. He's kind of, you know, just the puppet for someone else for the most part. So yeah, I'm not gonna ramble on anymore, so I'm gonna stop it here. Congrats to anyone who made it through all this video. You deserve a fucking cookie. Yeah, you do. So thank you for watching this, especially if you did all the way through. Oh, please tell me what you think in the comments below. Guess give it a thumbs up if you like it. Remake this video if you feel like you can do a better job than me, which I'm sure just about anyone can. So yes, please someone remake my videos out there, not these horrible things don't need to stay up, and someone else can have better videos made of my theories, and so people can speculate about them, because I want to hear what other people think. And I keep posting these ideas on other people's channels, but then no one picks them up or comments, and I don't get anyone to talk to. I think there's only one person that talked to me about this, and I want more. I need more people to talk to about this shit while I'm waiting. It's killing me. So yeah, please tell me what you think. Anyways, thank you. Have a great day.